What's up? Welcome back into the Tide Talk podcast. I'm your host, Stacey Blackwood, joined as always by my good friend Jake Thomas. Jake, what's happening, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. Just enjoying life, and it's getting a little chilly again. We've had some nice weather, had a great Easter weekend. It was a little rainy, but it's going to be down in the 30s up here where we're at tonight. So I could go find a winter jacket again just to wear in the morning. Because Wednesday it's going to be back in the 80s. Crazy
Yeah.
weather, crazy weather.
Yeah, stick around long enough. If you don't like the weather in Alabama, it'll change for you. So,
Yeah,
uh, but
but
uh, but we're not here to talk about the weather. We're not
no,
meteorologists. But we
no.
so we're going to talk a little bit about the 8A game and kind of give us the our winners and losers of the contest, kind of our recap of what happened and what we saw and what we think is going to happen, moving forward for this 2022 Alabama football team. But first, as always, we want to hear from you guys. I want you to jump in the comment section and kind of interact with us there and answer our question. Give us who your biggest winners from A-Day were, and also maybe who your biggest losers were from Saturday's A-Day game. Like I said, jump in the comments, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, give this video a thumbs up. Jake, we're less than 200 subscribers away from reaching our goal of 1,000 subscribers. So, folks, we really need you to subscribe. We're getting so close to that goal,
Yeah.
and we're so thankful for those that have already subscribed. I never thought we would reach 100 subscribers, and here we are at over
Mm-mm.
800. You know, inching our way to 1,000 subscribers. And like we said, if we get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, that's just going to increase the amount of content that we can put here, the quality of the content that we can put here. So it's just a win-win for everybody, and we appreciate everybody that's done it already. And hopefully, we can gain a few more subscribers here today. But Jake, let's just dive right into the 8A game. Jake, it was kind of the weather was kind of crappy, if we're
Yeah.
being honest. It was mist and rain. Towards the end of the game, it was raining pretty hard. But uh, just kind of give me your overall thoughts from the 8A game, and we'll just kind of talk about, the biggest takeaways and both positive and negative that we saw from Saturday's scrimmage.
Well, the one of the biggest things that I took away is again, how are you going to stop Will Anderson? How are you going to stop Dallas Turner?
Hmm.
I don't think there's an offensive line out there that can handle those two guys coming off the edge. And now we're putting a little package together with Chris Braswell, who also had two sats in the game. You have all three of them on there, along with another guy who stood out and Burrows,
Yep, Jameel Burrows. Yeah.
Jameer Burrows. I mean, this defense is especially defensive line. It's fixing to eat a lot of quarterbacks' lunch money this season moving forward. If everything works out, now we still got summer to go through and then get in the fall camp. And God hope not, but injuries do happen. So there's always that potential. But right now, that defense looks absolutely stout, especially pass rushing.
Yeah,
And
they're lethal. They're lethal.
yeah, they are lethal. But I'm that was one takeaway that I was glad to see. I mean that they're headhunters on that defense.
Yeah, I thought the emergence of Jameel Burrows on the
Mm-hmm.
inside is huge because we know that Fedarian Mathis has moved on, and Jake, he was third in the conference in sacks last season,
Yeah.
and having that interior pass rush is just it benefits the guys out there on the edge like Dallas Turner, Will Anderson, and now Chris Braswell, who Coach Saban mentioned, which I thought was kind of unique that he was going to kind of have this rabbit package, so to speak, where Anderson's on the field, Turner's on the field, and Braswell is also on the
Gosh.
field. And Jake, just think if you have those three guys, and then you put Jameel Burrows there, on the interior of that defensive line,
Mm-hmm.
that is a elite pass rushing group, and that's going to cause a lot of headaches for opposing teams. And Saban even mentioned during the 8A game they had to kind of take Will out so it would be a little more fair for the guys on the other side of the ball. And
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard those words come out of Nick
I hadn't
Saban's
either.
mouth. Will
Mm-mm.
Anderson is special.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Turner is on his way to becoming special.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Braswell is a really talented guy, and Burrows is a talented guy. But Will
Ah,
Anderson is just he is a cut above everybody else. Jake, he's special. He would be the number one pick in the draft. Here in a couple weeks if he was eligible.
right.
And it's just it's amazing what that guy can do on the football field. He's just dominant every single snap, and it's just really fun to watch and special to watch. And he's one of those guys that don't come around every year.
I know, and it seems like every time we talk about this football team, we always mention Will Anderson. I'm sure a lot of people are getting tired of hearing about him and want to hear about other players, but my gosh, how can you not talk about him because he is such a special player? But like you said, Dallas Turner's is a special player. Chris Braswell is coming to their own. He's going to be a special player. So I mean, this defense has a lot of depth, and another thing, and it wasn't really in the game much, but I have talked with you and our chat probably about this, but a guy who I talked about has bought in to the Bama standard, and that is Jahim Otis. I
Yeah.
mean, I think he posted maybe a couple hours ago. He come on to campus 406 pounds, and now he's down out to 370 or something like
Yeah.
that with 21% body muscle.
Body fat.
Body fat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that kid, talking about buying in, he has bought in, and this kid wants to get on that field, and he's doing everything possible to get on there.
Yeah, he don't even look like the same person
He don't.
from
I
when he
mean,
stepped on campus just in January. And here we are, mid-April, and he has made that type of transformation. Think of
yeah,
what he's going to do over the summer, Jake. I'm willing
sure.
to bet when the season gets here, if he continues to put in the work, he's going to be playing around 350. And if he's around that 350 mark with the
Mm-hmm.
way that he can move and the power that he strikes with his hands and the heavy hands that he has, it would not surprise me if he kind of works his way into that defensive line rotation. And like
Yeah.
you said, the biggest thing is he's bought in, and that's obvious. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of displayed in the amount of weight that he's lost and the transformation that he's made in his body. And that's been a lot of fun to watch. One more point I want to make about the defense before we
Yeah.
switch over to the offensive side of the ball
Mm-hmm.
is the depth that Alabama has in the secondary, Jake,
Yeah.
and the amount of playmakers they have back there. We saw Jordan Battle get a pick or get a pick. He had a couple pick sixes last season, and he's one
Mm-hmm.
of those guys. If he gets his hands on it, he has a chance to take it to the house. And then you see Christian Story also pick off a pass there in the 8A game as well. And he's a guy who's not really, somebody that a lot of people are talking about going to get a lot of playing time this year. But Jake, just quality depth, and he's a guy who's been in
Right.
the program now working on 3 years. So he knows the system, he knows what he needs to do, and he's obviously got the talent to perform on the field as well. So just the amount of depth and playmaking ability that's there in the secondary. Kyrie and Kool-Aid were the starting corners, but you got to remember that Eli Ricks, the transfer
I
from
know.
LSU, is
Yeah.
also there. Brian Branch is the starter there at the star position, but
Mm-hmm.
Malachi Moore has tremendous experience and is a tremendous talent as well. We know what we have in Helms and Battle. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just the depth there in the secondary is very, very is important, and it's going to be critical for this team, moving forward. Because, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, you never know when that injury bug is going to bite. And
Mm-hmm.
a guy like DeMarco Helms, I don't want to pick on the kid, but he seems to be injury riddled. He was in a
Yeah.
black non-contact jersey there in the 8A game. He battled injuries all last season, so maybe he's just a guy who cannot stay healthy all the time, and that's huge, Jake. You got to have people healthy on the field, and you got to have guys that can perform. And with the amount of depth that Alabama has, I feel confident in the secondary performing in 2022 at a high level.
Yeah, and one guy you didn't mention was Terrion Arnold.
Yeah.
He's that back there as well, and a guy who has not enrolled yet, and that's Jake Pope. Of course, you probably won't see him a lot this year, but moving forward next year, talking about depth, he's gonna be fighting for a starting spot, especially with Battle leaving and Helm. So just talking about depth and getting down there. So yeah, this secondary is loaded,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be fun to see how everything shakes out. And talking about Kyrie, you know, I have said that I don't think Rich has come on the campus, or would not transfer if he didn't expect to be a starting position. But my gosh, I mean, Kyrie Jackson is giving it his all and wants
Right.
that spot. So competition, is great,
Yep,
and
it
that's what's
breeds
happening.
excellence.
It
I mean,
does. So
that's cliche to say, but it's the truth.
it is.
And there's plenty of competition going on in Tuscaloosa at all
Yeah.
positions. But like you mentioned, they're between Ricks and Kyrie.
Hmm.
That's going to be a battle in fall camp that I cannot wait for.
I know, because I think Kool-Aid has one
Yeah, I
lockdown
do
for
too.
sure.
I do too.
So Ricks and Jackson is where that battle is going to be at, to see who's going to be that number 2
Yeah.
corner. So
Yeah, and before we move to the offense real quick, Jake, I do want to touch on special teams for just, 30
Yeah.
seconds or so. The kicking game looked excellent.
Yeah.
Everybody made their kicks. The punter looked better. His hang time was a little better than it was last year as a freshman. So
Mhm.
I'm excited about the development of the special teams group as well.
Absolutely. I don't think anybody missed a kick. Of course, Rocker didn't, and then that new guy Martin, I think his last name is. Yeah, he put in like a 40-yarder. So I mean, he has a leg on him. Looks like, and then Burnham, he like you said, his hang time got a lot better. I think I saw he put 5 of his 7 punts within the 20, inside the 20. So that is key moving forward. But hopefully, we won't have to use Burnip a lot this year. you know,
I hope not. With it,
I know.
and that's a good transition to the offense, Jake, because
Yeah.
I know it wasn't always pretty there on A-Day, but it's usually not, especially
Hmm.
when you have a defense returning like Alabama has, and the amount of pass rushers they have, and the question marks that this team still has along the offensive line because guys were out. I mean, you got to remember that Darren Dalcourt was out. You got to remember that
Right.
Emil Ekiyor was out. So there's a lot of experience that is out this spring, but there's a lot of guys back as well. So that's obviously a position group that I think we need to improve the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Steen hadn't got on campus yet either. So he's going to fill one position we all know of. But yeah, offensive line wise, it didn't really look good. Of course, you know, it's the second team, especially going against that first team defense. I mean, my gosh. I mean, I don't care if you're an NFL line right now. I really think Dallas Turner and Will Anderson will make an NFL line
Oh
look
yeah.
silly right
Yeah.
now. So, I'm glad they're both on the team. But my gosh, it's almost unfair. But offensively, yeah, offensive line is the weak point. But of course, Mir Ekiyor is injured. Dalcourt just having depth. He's not back fully yet. As Steen hadn't come in, so give it time over the summer to get the guys here, and then get in the fall camp. Before that first week, I expect the positions to be filled and the team start gelling a little bit better on the offensive line.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think by any means this season's offensive line is going to be elite like it was a
Right.
couple years ago, but it's going to be good enough. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for the truth be told, I mean the offensive line was the weak point of the team last year, and they still made a appearance in the championship game. So
Right.
I do think it'll be better than last year's version, but I don't think they're going to be elite, but they're going to be just fine. Especially you
Mm-hmm.
get Tyler Steen in, a guy who started over 30 games at tackle in the SEC. So great wealth of experience, and he's a talented player as well. So that's going to be a major pickup once he gets on campus and starts working with the guys there. But offensively, let's talk about some of these skill position players, Jake. To me, the two guys outside of quarterbacks, I want to talk about receivers and running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Christian Leary looked great.
Yes.
Jameer Gibbs showed his explosiveness and that he is going to be a playmaker for this Alabama team. And a guy who quietly had a really solid day, nothing flashy, no big numbers really, but he caught everything that was thrown at him, which not all the guys could say. And that's
Right.
Ty Jones Bell, Jake. I
Yeah.
thought, and he's a guy who's kind of up in the air. Maybe he may not even return once fall gets here because you got to think Shaz Preston's coming in, Kobe Prentice is coming in. So there's other talented freshmen coming in at wide receiver. So what does that mean for a guy like Ty Jones Bell? But I thought he done a really good job in A-Day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be interesting to see how this wide receiver group plays out because I thought Christian Leary, really made a name for himself
Mm-hmm.
and has a chance to make some noise this fall.
Absolutely. It's not going to benefit Brooks, being out right now because I mean, there's like you said, there's a lot of talented guys coming in. There's a lot of talented guys that are already there who played really well. So having him out is going to hurt his chances. He does have more experience than some of the guys, but like you said, Christian Leary looked outstanding the other day. JoJo Earl, I know he had a couple of drops, but I think he had 4 receptions for 51 yards. So he has talent. He has explosive ability. We haven't even mentioned Aaron Anderson, So I mean, there's guys who's chomping at the bit to get on that field. And maybe Brooks can get his injury under check. And like I said, he does have the experience over some of these guys. Now Larry does have some more experience than most of the other guys. Maybe Earl has some as well, but Leary, he could be the number 2 guy behind Burton the way he showed the other day. So we
Yeah.
just got to find some. We got to find a 3 or 2, 3, and 4 wide receiver to step up this year who can spell Burton.
Yeah. Well,
So
Jake, I'll tell you, when Jameer Gibbs broke that long run,
oh
it's been
man,
such a long time since Alabama's had a back that explosive. Now, I
hmm
know the will linebacker, I think he was in Jackson on that play.
yeah,
I don't know what he was doing there, but Jameer Gibbs made him pay. And, the opposing team's not always going to be perfect. It's about having the guys, you know, having the ability to expose
yep,
when somebody doesn't do the right thing or
hmm
keep the right gap integrity to make them pay, and Gibbs made them pay and took it to the house for 75 yards, and it's nice to
yeah.
have that explosiveness at running back.
Absolutely. I mean, that vision that you talk about, he saw that hole open up. He saw that will linebacker, follow the guard and let that hole, and it was over.
Yep,
I think he had 100 yards,
right.
exactly 100 yards on 11 rushes. So I mean, I don't know what that averages out to be, but I mean, it's 6, 7 yards of carry. I'm sure, maybe more than that. So I mean, just having an explosive running back. And another thing, some of the pictures that I saw after the game, friggin' Roydale, Williams and Jace McClellan are huge now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, they're yoked.
they are. So, they're going to be running over some people as well. But,
Yeah.
but
And I'll
get
tell
that
you
down
this,
to.
Jamarie Miller, the freshman running
Oh
back,
yeah,
he
hmm
runs hard, Jake. And
he
we had
does.
been hearing that after the first couple of scrimmages that he is a guy the coaching staff really like because of his not only he's got quick feet, but he finishes every run he gets. He's really tough to bring down. So I think he's a good addition. Maybe not for this season, but moving forward down the road, he's a guy that Alabama can rely on if push comes to shove.
Absolutely. He's got a bright future, I do
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. And
Oh
Emmanuel Henderson has not even
yeah,
got on campus yet,
I
so
know it.
just another five-star, guy that's gonna be coming on campus, just it's
Yeah.
incredible the depth Alabama has there at running back.
We didn't even say Trey Sanders either.
Yeah, and,
He's
Trey Sanders is starting he's starting to look like himself again.
I know it. Yeah, that's great. And
Yep.
but one thing we had touched on, I want to touch on real quick before we get to the quarterbacks was, you know, I know Niblick is Niblak,
Niblack.
whatever
Yep.
Niblak. Yeah, he's not on campus yet, but the two he had some drops again, and he didn't look really well. And that tight end position, we've got to find a playmaker there. So other than offensive line, that's my other weak
I agree with
point.
you. I agree with
You
you.
know, so
I hate to use the word disappointed because I
right.
mean, it was just a scrimmage, but the interception that Bryce Young thrown, Jake, was a really good throw.
hmm
Latu didn't make the effort that he needed to make on that play.
Right.
And that's why it
Yeah.
got picked off by Jordan Battle. So I'm with you. I'm
Mhm.
slightly disappointed in where Cameron Latu is at. Maybe he just had an off day,
Right.
but
That's what I'm hoping.
I'm with you. I want to see the tight end position grow and develop into a
hmm
position that can create mismatches for opposing teams, and
hmm
because that makes the offensive, the quarterback's job a lot easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Ned Black, once he comes on campus, maybe that will change things. And but we just got to get better at the tight end position moving forward.
I agree with you. I believe that
Mhm.
the offensive line and the tight end position are the two position groups that Alabama needs to improve most on the entire team.
Yeah, I was going to say right after your comment, that was probably the two weak points on
Yeah.
this Alabama team, and that's it. I mean, everywhere else, like we talked about, there's depth and they're deep,
Yep.
and we haven't even talked about the quarterback yet, which we're fixing to touch on.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of those guys, Jake, I think I know it's just a scrimmage. I know you can't take a whole lot, but what you can take away from watching a quarterback play is you can see if he belongs or not.
hmm
And we'll get to Bryce Young. We know what he is. We'll get to Jalen Miller, but I want to talk about Ty Simpson for just a
hmm
minute, Jake. Here's a kid who just got on campus in January, but Jake, he looked like he belonged on a college football
Right.
field.
Yeah.
You could tell nothing gets to him. He's
Mm.
always calm, cool, and collected. He knows when it's time to take off and run with the football. He can deliver with velocity and accuracy. So I think the future is very bright for Ty Simpson, and I'm really pleased with how he's developed so far in just a couple months on campus.
Absolutely. He made some plays there. There wasn't anything over. Like you said, he took off with started running, and he's got to be as big as he is, he's got some wheels. And then when he was able to set up in the pocket and look around, man, you talk about that arm, like you
Yeah.
said. I mean, he's got a bright future at Alabama, and he's only a true freshman still. I mean, that's insane to think about. So, future's bright there, and of course, we are recruiting a few guys. I think is it Sam Holston? He was there, I think, at A-Day. He's
Eli
a
Holston.
Eli Holston, yeah. He was there, I think, at A-Day. So there's another 5-star that we're looking at. But Ty Simpson, like you said, belonged on that campus, and
Yeah, he's a dude. He's a
he
dude.
is.
He's a gamer.
He
And
is.
and Jake, like, I don't really want to spend a lot of time on Bryce Young because we know what Bryce is. He's the reigning
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy winner.
What
We
more can
know
you
what he's
say?
capable of doing. Yeah, there's not a lot that we can
Yeah.
add about Bryce Young. But Jake, I think Jalen Murrow probably stole the show on Saturday
Yeah.
with just his not just his athletic ability, Jake, but his ability to keep his eyes downfield when he's escaping the
Hmm.
pocket, find the open receiver, and then deliver it with accuracy and with plenty of velocity. Jake, the sky is the limit for Jalen Murrow. This dude is a superior talent, both athletically and just the feel that he has for the game and the way that he has developed in his 1 year there in Tuscaloosa.
Absolutely. To me, like you said, I think Jalen Miller was the star of the show. And he's gotten bigger. It seems like his arms are massive.
He's
Than the
huge.
offense. He is, and I mean, he can take off running. And one thing people is wanting to know, and I've been hearing people say, well, he's going to be, or is he going to be like a Jalen Hurts? He's got the legs like Jalen, but he's got a lot more accuracy than Jalen did, I think.
I'm going to say
Yeah.
this, and I think that he's not maybe as physical a runner as what Jalen was. Jalen was a
Right.
punishing runner.
He was.
I would say Milrow is more of a finesse style runner
Mm-hmm.
because I think he has greater top end speed and more elusiveness and quickness. But I think there's no question that at this point in their career, so when Hertz was a sophomore or in his second year in Tuscaloosa, and now with Milrow in his second year in Tuscaloosa, I don't think there's any doubt about it that Milrow is ahead of where Hertz was at that time as far as pass progression and where he's
Right.
at in his ability to throw the football accurately and on time and in rhythm.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I love Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Miller, like you said, he's got, I don't know what it is. He's just got that look about him and that, like you said, it factor that, next year once Bryce moves on to the NFL and Jalen, if he stays, I mean, there's always a chance of a transfer portal, but if he stays, that battle between him and Ty Simpson is going to be one to watch. It's going to be a great battle.
Yeah.
But of course, that's going to be next year. But if we need him this year,
Well, a
I have
lot
no
can
doubt he
change,
can
but
say,
I
"Oh
don't
yeah,
I don't see how Milrow doesn't win the job next year. Jake,
right,
I feel like he is next. He is elite.
he
To
is."
me, he is the, and this is very high praise, and it's
Hmm.
probably premature, but he is the most Deshaun Watson like quarterback I've seen since Deshaun Watson
Yeah.
at the college level. I think he has a chance to be Deshaun Watson like, and
Hmm.
it's going, not to take anything away from Ty Simpson. We just talked about how great I think he's going to be, but
Hmm.
uh, I think Milrow has a chance to be a special once in a every few year type of quarterback. So I'm
Hmm.
excited about the future, the position at quarterback, especially the future is very bright.
And didn't we only used Miller about 3 games last year? So didn't we keep his red shirt
He's a
intact?
red shirt freshman. Yeah.
Man, that's wonderful. That is great. So,
Oh, Jake, it don't matter if he's
well,
to
yeah,
me if he starts next year
yeah, he'll go.
in
Yeah.
2023 and he plays like I think he can play, he's probably going
Hmm.
to go because he'll be a first round draft pick. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
I just he is a special talent, and I know it's early, a lot can change, and he didn't play in a real game, but you can only go by what you've seen. I mean, I don't know,
Right.
I can't go by what I haven't seen. So to me, it's very likely that Murrow is going to be a special talent for Alabama.
I agree 100%. I really like the kid,
Yep.
and he seems like another one of these. Like, of course, they all have bought in, but he's another one who is, paying his dues per se, and has bought in.
Yeah,
Like,
he looks
okay,
like he's having a lot of fun down there. He
oh
really does.
yeah, for sure. And they all look like they're having fun. And did you see what Eli Rich said? I think one of his quotes after the game.
Mm-mm.
I saw it today on Twitter, but he said something to the effect about um, when I stepped on campus and got into this circle. I'm just paraphrasing. Um, it feels like people. It feels like I'm here. I'm like people here are like me who truly love football.
Okay.
And that's what it is down there.
Yep.
It's all about football, the football mentality. And something else I saw before I jumped on here. Dallas, did you see that Dallas Turner tried to give his cake, a piece of
Nuh-uh.
cake to Malachi Moore and Cameron too, because they was on the losing team, and Saban was sitting right there, and he's like, he said they didn't win, they don't deserve cake, and he was like, man, and coach was like, no, and it was pretty funny, but coach is serious about that, If you win the game, you get that steak and get that cake. And if you lose it, man, you get beans and that's it, So coach is pretty serious about it. But
Yep.
they're having fun down there.
Yep. And I'm excited. I know now we're kind of into the official part of the offseason, Jake. It's a while until SEC
Yeah.
Media Days, but we're going to be here at the Tide Talk podcast, in and out, discussing different events and different things going on and what we're hearing as far as recruiting and other aspects that involve the Crimson Tide, and of course, looking at some of the other sports like baseball and softball and all that, some basketball news as well. So we're going to be here throughout the summer months. Like we always are here at the Tide Talk podcast. But before we head out, like I said, we want to hear from you guys. We want you to jump in the comments and let us know, kind of who the biggest winner was and who the biggest loser was in Alabama's A-Day game last Saturday. But that's going to wrap this episode up. Like we said, help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. We're over 800, so we're getting so close, and we need everybody to hit that subscribe button so we can continue to deliver great content here on the Tide Talk podcast. But that's going to wrap this episode up. Really appreciate everybody tuning in. Until next time, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.